The anime starts with a fat boy named Daniel being bullied in the toilet. The bully tells him to spin around like a dog and bark and then calls him a pig. Daniel spins on the floor and oinks. The bully continues beating him and tells him that all he will ever be is a fat pig. The scene cuts to Daniel lying in his room thinking about how sad his life is. He cooks some instant noodles and hums a tune. His mother comes back home and makes the food for him, but he scolds his mom for putting eggs in his noodles. He says it is the reason that he is fat. He tells his mom he wants to transfer because everyone in the school is smarter than him because he doesn't want his mom to know he gets bullied. His mom talks about their financial situation and asks him about his school friends, but he is a loner like you watching this video and gets bullied constantly. He punches the wall and storms away. In school, he bumps into a girl but cannot fight back since they will bully him. In gym class, his bully kicks a football at him, but Daniel manages to dodge. Another guy hits him in the face with the football and Daniel falls to the ground. His bully punches him for dodging his shot. Just then, Daniel's mother sees his son and rushes to him to stop his bullies. Daniel tells her mom to stop it, saying that she is embarrassing him. He goes back home and sees his mom sitting on the floor. She tells him to transfer schools while she stays there to work. Daniel cries. The next day, Daniel navigates the way to his new place. He goes into the house and later goes out and accidentally bumps into a girl again. Her name is Mira. He remembers the incident in his previous school, but the girl apologizes. At that moment, her boyfriend, Zach, comes and Mira brings him away. However, Daniel creepily smiles at him, so Zach beats him while everyone records it. Daniel sees the video on his phone and cries in the corner of his room. The next morning when he wakes up, he hits the ceiling when standing up. Daniel looks at himself in the mirror and is startled when he looks handsome. When he looks back, he sees the fat version of himself on the floor. Daniel wakes himself up. No, I mean the fat one. Suddenly, Daniel wakes up again and sees his handsome body on the floor. Handsome Daniel wakes up again and switches body with his fat version. He tells himself that he will change with his new body. At his new school, Daniel walks past a group of girls and they fall in lust. He bumps into a guy called Jay who is checking himself out. Jay realizes how good-looking he is and apologizes. He introduces himself to the class and all the girls fall in love with him. Daniel nervously sits down and sees Zach sitting next to him. Zach introduces himself. A girl with big breasts called Zoe puts her breast in Daniel's face and introduces herself as well. She starts flirting with Daniel and the rest of the girls in the class call her whore. Zach tells her to sit the fuck down. During lunch, Daniel walks into the cafeteria and Zoe suddenly appears next to him. They go to collect their food and Daniel accidentally blurts about his past school experience when he was fat. Meanwhile, Zach envies him. In class, he feels sleepy because he was practicing his walk yesterday. The family in the park was amazed by his looks and thought that he was a model practicing his catwalk. He almost tripped but managed to front flip. In class, he falls asleep and suddenly wakes up in his fat body. He tries to fall asleep to go back to his handsome body but cannot. Luckily, Zoe wakes him up. He thanks Zoe and she blushes. At night, he sees a hiring poster for a convenience store and goes inside. The manager sees how handsome he is and thinks of the female customers he can pull, so wants to hire him. Later, when he tries to apply in his fat body, the manager doesn't want to hire him. However, Daniel can name all the cigarette brands and he gets hired with a lower wage. While working, his gangster classmates come in trying to buy cigarettes with a fake ID. Zach comes in and sees Daniel. He takes a bunch of stuff and demands Daniel to pay for it. However, when Zach remembers him smiling at Mira, he gets mad and punches him for hitting on his girl. They take a picture of him beaten up and soon leave the store. The next day, Daniel goes into class and sees them laughing at the picture they took of him. They comment how his mother must be a pig like him and Daniel gets pissed. He tells them to stop. Zach sees Mira looking at Daniel and gets mad. He wants to fight Daniel to look cool. Jay grabs Zach's wrist to stop him, but Zach lets go and goes to punch Daniel. Daniel is able to see his punch since he has been punched by bullies so many times. He manages to dodge it and Zach is embarrassed. He throws a barrage of punches, but Daniel hits Zach in his stomach and drops him. All the gangs in the school hear about this and they decide to mess with Daniel. The leader of this gang is Bosco. At the convenience store, a skinny boy comes in and steals something. He runs away and Daniel chases after him. Turning into an alleyway, he runs into a group of bullies. The bullies make them fight each other, but Bosco appears and saves them. The boy introduces himself as Jiho and says he is in fashion class. The next morning, Zach looks at Daniel as he is still salty. During lunch, Daniel asks Zoe about Bosco and she tells him that he is the leader of the Burn Knuckle gang. The same bullies from yesterday tell him that Bosco is good to the weak but hates show-offs. Just then, the Burn Knuckle gang sees Daniel and walks to him. He pushes him down on the chair by grabbing his shoulder. Daniel pushes his hand away and everyone is surprised. Another member of the gang comes in to stop the fight. The bullies glaze Daniel and ask him to hang out. At night, he goes to a restaurant and has dinner with them. Zach comes into the room and is mad that Daniel is there. Daniel says that he lives alone and Zoe gets horny. Later, he corrects himself and says that he lives with a friend and they imagine his friend to be a big scary gangster. Daniel asks about Mira and how Zach started dating her. Zoe reveals that they are not actually dating and Zach becomes super friendly with Daniel. One of the guys shows a picture of fat Daniel but he crushes the phone and falls asleep. He sleeps in his fat body and wakes up but realizes that he hasn't changed back into his handsome body. He rushes to the restaurant and tells them that he is there to pick up handsome Daniel. They don't believe him, but when he says that handsome Daniel's roommate told him to do it, they picture the scary gangster again and allow him to take Daniel. Outside, Zach shows fat Daniel how to throw a punch. Bro got humbled. Soon, Zach vomits and they bring him away. Daniel tries what Zach taught him on the boxing machine but fails. When Bosco goes to the machine, he sees the cushion rip. He punches the machine and his goons are impressed, but Bosco is disappointed that he cannot slice the cushion like Daniel. At lunch, he sees Jiho and tells him that he is glad that he is okay. They sit together at lunch and everyone in the cafeteria is confused by the duo. Later, Daniel's mom visits his house and sees his fat body sleeping. She is surprised and questions why he isn't at school. Just then, Daniel goes back home and sees his mom. His mom asks him who he is and Daniel says that he is Fat Daniel's friend. They have a chat and Daniel tells him that Fat Daniel has a part-time job. Daniel and his mom go into a cafe and his mom tells him that he looks a lot like Fat Daniel. Bosco goes into the cafe and sees Daniel and his mom. His mom asks if Fat Daniel is getting bullied and Daniel tells her not to worry. Bosco overhears their conversation and gets angry. He thinks that handsome Daniel bullies Fat Daniel even though they are the same person. When leaving, his mom takes the extra cardboard from the cafe and tells Daniel that she is collecting it for spare money. She tries to pay him back for the drink and they have a happy moment together, but somehow Bosco is still mad and ejaculates all over the place. Chill, bro. When his mom leaves, Bosco comes out of the cafe and calls him a jerk. They go near a construction site and Bosco tells him to fight him, saying that Daniel is using Fat Daniel to do his errands. Bosco tries to punch him but misses. Bosco demands Daniel to give him the money that his mom gave him. Daniel says no and they start fighting again. In the end, Bosco is defeated. At the convenience store, Bosco goes into the store and apologizes for not getting the money back. Daniel starts doing push-ups on the floor and a beautiful lady called Crystal comes in to buy a drink. She buys Daniel a drink and walks out. At school the next morning, a boy named Namsu walks into school with nice shoes. Zach goes to him, but surprisingly, he walks away and leaves Namsu alone. Namsu goes into the classroom trying to flex his new ring, but Jay goes into the classroom and the girls are stunned by Jay's rings and watch. Daniel goes into the classroom and all the girls flock to him like birds. The Bare Knuckle gang are surprised that Bosco lost. While Daniel and Jiho are walking in the hallway, a fat boy called Duke is being bullied. Daniel confronts the bullies and they almost fight, but a teacher comes to stop them. He tries to help Duke get up, but Duke scoffs and walks away. During class, Jay keeps looking at Daniel. After school, Jay overhears Daniel talking to his mom about his birthday. In the convenience store, Crystal comes in again and treats him very nicely. At school, Duke asks Daniel why he is so nice to losers like him and Jiho. His bully friends tell Zach to go stop Daniel, but Daniel says he will stop bullying people. Daniel tells Duke he wants to be friends with him because they are alike. While Daniel is walking, he sees Jay and he drops a bag with a note saying happy birthday. Inside the bag is clothes. At school, the nerds try to embarrass Daniel by mocking his clothes when he comes. Daniel walks in with expensive luxury clothes. In an audition waiting room, Duke is writing some lyrics about Daniel's fake smile. His bully is also there to audition. His bully raps in the studio and the owner of the record label says that he is good. He is told that there is one more guy, but when the owner looks at Duke's picture, they tell him to leave. Duke asks for one chance to prove himself, but they walk away. On the bus, Duke continues to write about his life experience. The people on the bus all laugh at him. At home, he continues writing his lyrics and rapping them. He looks at his grandma who is sleeping next to him. At school, Duke sees a poster to perform at a festival. Daniel walks to Duke and talks to him. The people around them gossip about Duke and he walks away telling Daniel to stop acting like his friend. In class, Duke is bullied for writing lyrics again. Later, he takes an application form for the festival. He goes to his grandma's stall and she offers him some food. His bullies go to him and his grandma asks if they are friends. She cooks them some food and they eat all of it without hesitation. After eating, his grandma gives them more food to bring home. When they walk away, Duke sees them throwing away the food she gave them. The next morning, Duke stands at the doorway of the classroom and hears his bullies telling people not to go to the stall. His bully comes and pushes him away. At lunch, Daniel sees Duke getting bullied. His bullies rip up his festival application and slap him around, but Duke cannot do anything about it. Daniel goes to the bullies and sees Jay next to him as well, and Zach comes to back Daniel up. Soon, Bosco comes and wants to fight the bullies. They realize that they can't win and walk away. Bosco now wants to fight Daniel, but his member stops him and he walks away. Daniel goes to Duke and asks him if he is okay, but Duke just walks away. He sees Duke's torn-up application on the ground. At school, Daniel sees Duke and returns his application. Duke slaps his hand away and tells him to stop all the nonsense while walking away, saying that he will become like Eminem. The bullies plan to perform at the festival because the owner of the record label will be watching. After school, they bully Duke even more and rip his notebook to shreds. When talking to Zoe, Daniel sees the festival poster and Zoe tells him to join it. He cleans the classroom and thinks about performing at the festival. Suddenly, he starts singing and Duke hears it. His voice is so heavenly that Duke starts crying. He picks up his ripped-up pieces of paper and runs into the classroom Daniel is in. Duke asks Daniel to perform with him at the festival. Daniel goes to Duke's house to practice, and Duke wonders if Daniel is disappointed by his shabby house. At night, they go to Duke's grandma's stall. She offers him some food, but Daniel humbly rejects it and walks away to do his part-time job. At the studio, the record label owner gives the bullies a song to rap at the festival and they are extremely confident. In school, Daniel and Duke practice their song. They decide to dedicate their lunchtime and time after school to practice. At night, Daniel practices singing the song again in his house and in the convenience store. He realizes that his throat doesn't hurt when singing in his fat body. Suddenly, Crystal comes in, compliments his voice, and gives him some candy for his throat. At school, they practice again and Daniel has improved a lot. When he leaves, the bullies come and beat Duke up for piggybacking on Daniel's popularity. At night, Duke goes into the convenience store with Jiho. They introduce themselves to Daniel. Jiho apologizes for getting Daniel bullied the last time and they have a good conversation. They talk about how their lives have gotten better since Daniel transferred. Bosco hears it and realizes that Daniel is a good guy. In school, Daniel and Duke practice more and the bullies also practice in the booth. Their performance is before Daniel and Duke's performance. On the day of the festival, a guy and Crystal rock up in a nice car. Daniel and Duke are outside the stadium and feel super nervous. He sees Crystal and his guy and goes after them. Daniel follows them into a car park and tries to talk to Crystal, but she doesn't recognize him because he is in his other body. Crystal thinks he is trying to hit on her and acts meanly towards him. Daniel keeps following her and the man kicks him down. Bosco comes and tries to save Daniel, but the man punches him. Surprisingly, it has no effect and the man drives away. Later, they sit on a bench and Bosco offers him a drink. He hears the signal from the stadium and goes. Backstage, Daniel and Duke watch the bullies go on stage. They perform and everyone is amazed by the bullies' performance. The owner is impressed as well. They finish performing and the bully punches Duke. Duke stops Daniel from fighting back and says that they will decide who the winner is with their song. They go on the stage and the owner is told that Duke was the guy who came to audition before. The music starts playing and Daniel has a voice crack. The bullies laugh and everyone judges him. Duke steps up and starts rapping. He points back to Daniel and Daniel sings. They have an impressive duet with everyone watching and being astonished by their performance. In the end, they win the festival and the owner goes to them to give them their business card, but he is talking to Daniel only. Daniel rejects the offer. The girl receives a message of the video of Daniel and Duke. She realizes that it is the song Fat Daniel always hums in the convenience store. She looks back and sees her fat body sleeping. Thanks for watching Bari Recaps. That is the end of the recap for Lookism. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more anime recaps. Click on the right for another recap that you may like. Please comment below what other anime recaps you would like to see.